themes that Jay and Mitchell and Mike have been talking about and apply them to the way we build our browser, and also show you all my dog. So the web's getting more complex, we know that, and one of the things that happens if we start living more of our life on the web is that there tends to be a lot more of it, right? Tabbed browsing was a big thing a long time ago, but now we get to this point where, I don't know about you, but I have something like 200 tabs, and what's even more ridiculous is that a lot of those things are duplicates, because there are sites that I visit again and again. There are sites that are like newspaper articles that I read once and then get rid of, but the sites that I keep visiting, with the awesome bar, it's so easy to just load it in a new tab that I end up with 7 copies of it. So one thing I want to show you that we added recently is tab matches in the awesome bar. So I was researching bears because I was coming to Whistler. As you can see that in addition to whatever other hits there might be in my awesome bar, I've got this option to switch to tab, and when I do, it jumps me straight there instead of opening a new one, right? So if I need to get if I need to get, thank you. If I need to get back to my Flickr page, I can do that too. Really easy, I don't have to open any new tabs. But there are some sites that you visit a lot. And as has been talked about, especially by Jay when he was talking about bringing apps back into the web, there are some sites that aren't newspaper articles, right? They're things like Twitter or Flickr or Gmail. They're basically applications, and it's fine for them to live in a tab. That's where we put web content these days. But they're sort of different. And so what we've done just recently, and if you're on a nightly, you can do this too, you can right-click on a tab and say Make into App Tab. And when you do that, it pops over to the left-hand edge of the tab strip. It loses all the text that you really don't need because you know what Gmail is from the icon. And I can do this with the ones that I live in every day. And the nice thing is you'll notice too that I've got this tab overflow here, but my app tabs never go away. So anytime you want, you can tell the browser, this is something I come back to a lot, this is something I need to have at hand. Convert it to an app tab, shove it over to the left-hand side, make it easy for me to get back to it. I think this is part of pushing the browser towards recognizing that we're doing different things with the web than we used to, and our users can tell us, they can give us these pieces of information and say, Twitter's different. It's not like a Slashdot article. And so you can give it a different status, you can give it a different treatment, because I interact with it in a different way. Don't worry if you make a mistake, by the way. It's quite easy to make these back into normal tabs. 2, 3, and we're back to where we were. Now, the big, hairy, audacious thing that we're looking at for Firefox 4 is to really take this a step further and let users really control how the web pages they interact with are organized. And so we're playing with this idea called Tab Candy. So when I click the little Tab Candy button, which right now is an add-on, which is really mostly implemented in the stuff of the web, you can see little thumbnails of all my tabs. But what's kind of interesting about this is that I can organize them. So I can put all my Wikipedia stuff together if I like. Right? Cool. And I can put all my Mozilla tabs together too. So that's kind of handy. I can move them around because we're visual creatures, many of us, and I can give them names so that I remember what it is that I'm doing. I can pop into an individual tab really easily, and then I can pop back. I can also, that's swell. I can also resize these, and the thumbnails will get bigger or smaller and scale up. And if I get too small, they'll get smart and they'll stack on each other. But don't worry, because I can just click this if I want to see what's in that box. And if I pop into an individual one, you can see that my tab strip only has my Mozilla stuff on it. So if you want to be really deliberate about the way you organize your tab strip, if you want to have a work bucket and a home bucket, or a bucket that people are allowed to see and a bucket that people aren't, you can sort this however you want. It's really easy to jump between them, but it lets you say, I live on the web. It's kind of ridiculous to talk about a single web experience, a single tab strip as encapsulating everything I do. I've got lots of different relationships with websites, and I should be able to organize them in a variety of ways. So this kind of work is how we take the recognition that the web is evolving and build it into our UI. But that's how we let Firefox users organize the sites they interact with. When it comes down to an individual site, we're also reworking the way the site communicates with you. As apps get more sophisticated, they want to have more conversations with you, right? In content conversations, that's fine. We provide cool tools, and you're going to see some demos that allow some pretty amazing interactions. but sometimes they need to talk to the browser for things like geolocation, maybe for device access. And as we start doing more of that, you start getting a lot of notification bars. It's not a very robust notification mechanism. So we started with geolocation and we did this. This doesn't look a lot different. I clicked on the little give me your location button and a thing pops up. It's not a notification bar anymore, which gives us some flexibility as UI people to build the kind of UI we want, to custom tailor it to the choices that are available for a given interface. I can do all the things I used to be able to do. I can share my location. I can make persistent decisions about it. I can just click away to dismiss it if I don't want to care about it. But the nice thing is we can eventually hook all these notifications up to something like Larry so that you can revisit. You can come to a site that you've been going to for months and sort of forgotten about the fact that you gave it geo access to try out some cool thing a while ago. And you can interrogate. You can see at a glance what permissions this site has. And you can reverse those decisions if you want to. Because as the matrix of these decisions gets kind of complex, things like Facebook have taught us, you can bury users in those choices, but mostly that's going to make them make bad choices. So we want to make sure that when they want access to the history of decisions they've made about this kind of sometimes very sensitive access, they have a quick way to get back to it. Now, the last piece that I'm going to show you is around the developer ecosystem, not for the web, but for Firefox itself. So if you talk to people like Justin and Nick, you'll get an entertaining variety of answers. But nevertheless, I was surprised to find out that more than half of add-on installs go through the in-product add-ons manager. That's how people discover them. Right? I've heard numbers like 80%, and then Justin makes a face and says, no, it's more like 40%. But if you get them monkey knife fighting for a little while, you come up with a number more than half. And if you look at the extension manager that we have in Firefox, it's great. It certainly lets you manage your extensions, but it doesn't really reflect the realization that this is our primary driver of add-on downloads. And so one of the other things that we're working on for Firefox 4, you can get to it from the new Firefox button, is an add-ons manager that feels more like the web. So you've got a lot more room, that's nice, and it looks a little bit more like a web app, and that's nice too. But because it's living in this space, it's a little more natural to have interactions like clicking on hyperlinks, or rating the add-on, which will get pushed out to AMO, or pulling in the ratings that have come from AMO so that you can see what other people thought about your app. It also means that we can use this get add-ons pane, which is clearly in need of a little bit of CSS love, to bring AMO right into the browser so that, again, extending your browser feels like a webbish interaction. But when it comes to extending your browser in a very webbish way, basically the best proof point we have, the thing that my team as well as the add-ons team and well, the Jetpack team themselves have been working on for some time, is Jetpack. And so I'd like to call Nick up here now to blow your mind with a Jetpack built in 5 minutes.